Well, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting of Middleton Plan Commission for Tuesday, August 10th, 2021 to order. And the first item is the roll call. Abby.
Bruce,
Here.
Ramsey,
Here.
Schaefer,
Here.
Slavish,
Here.
and Brar is present. Erdman, Hermans, and Paulson are absent.
So I want to let you know that we have a new member on the commission, which is approved by the city council. It took a long time, but big search that finally we have full membership. So thank you to everyone for your help. And we're going to introduce that Gretchen, Erdman, Herman next time. And Abby already sent you her resume. And Gretchen also sent you an email to introduce herself. Okay, so the next item here is the approval of the minutes.
Ramsey will move approval.
Lavish will second.
Any changes, questions, or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of the Plan Commission minutes of July 27, 2021 to say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the approval of the minutes passes unanimously. We are on to agenda items. Item number 1. This is the schedule a public hearing for rezoning a parcel in community of Bishop Bay. Yeah, somebody want to say something? Okay. This is the Wisconsin Foundation Incorporated. This is on Untitled Road. And thank you, Mark, for sending the updated comments and the dates. So it is, so Mark, you want to say a few things, or Abby, you want to? So it's
we're just recommending schedule the hearing for the 14th at 7 p.m. September 14 at 7 p.m. This is a GIP amendment for the community of Bishop's Bay.
Ramsey will move to schedule a public hearing at September 14th at 7 p.m.
Schaefer seconds.
okay. Any questions or comments?
This will also be going to the Middleton Westport Joint Zoning Committee. They'll be introduced to this next week at their meeting next week. So that this will work its way through that process before the hearing.
Okay, so this will be, this could be at that particular site. I know we are only setting the date, but this burial site and all of those things could be in, could be in that area.
I'm not sure I follow you in terms of which area. It's in the community of Bishop's Bay along Unken Road.
Yeah.
One point was proposed for the church, but and it's a vacant site right now, and this is apparently an evolving trend. I think there's one of these in Verona or near Verona, one of these natural cemeteries. So I don't have too much information at this point. I was just thinking you're scheduling the hearing.
Okay.
I don't have a staff report.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the setting the public hearing date of September 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. On to item number 2. This is the design review for retail addition to Good Neighbor Liquor 311 Farmington Street. So who wants to take it?
I wrote the staff comments, Mayor. Bill, applicant, is also present, I believe. At least I saw his name earlier. Yeah, he's there. So they are planning to connect their 2 existing buildings that are currently on the property, the larger one to the right, to the south, connecting with the what used to be a car wash to the left. And it's hasn't been a car wash now for at least a decade, I would think. So they're planning to connect them with a 1,225 square foot addition, which would become part of their retail area for the liquor store. And the former car wash would then be used for storage space and not be open to the public. That's my understanding. They have plenty of parking to comply with our parking standards, off-street parking standards. And the only other comment I had was that the design is influenced by the roof system on the existing two buildings. So that's why Bill can speak to that if you'd like him to. I don't know all the details, but my understanding is it was going to be hard to connect to the existing roof system. So that's why they're proposing a different height. And I am recommending design approval contingent on resolution of engineering staff recommendations and the signage on the building being brought into compliance with their sign ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I think it does look good. So any other questions or comments? So there is that's using the car wash area for storage. That is the allowed use there then?
It just becomes part of this will become one structure from a zoning standpoint. So every retail space has storage space. So that is perfectly acceptable use.
Okay, so now in this case, again, I noticed that the form, this middle form on the plan commission form, it does not mark the design review. So I imagine they pay $200 for this review, but it doesn't mark. So, and could we make sure that when somebody is submitting, at least it should mark what we are looking at? So Randy, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I do. I wanted to ask the applicant if they could explain why we couldn't just continue the roof structure, similar roof height and form as what's there now.
Randy, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah, this is Dave Budden. I'm the general contractor for the addition here. And our fear was that, well, first of all, we'd have to rip off the end wall overhang in order to get to match up the roof lines of the other one. But if we continued that roof line over, it would be, I guess it's doable, but it'd be higher than the peak of the existing car wash and everything too. And we'd have to slope it back down and everything. And the height just isn't required inside for any reason. So we just thought for ease of connection for both buildings or whatever, it was just easier and putting less of a roof on that existing car wash by keeping it down and everything too. So that was just our logic for that. Is nothing magical to it, I guess.
does that sound okay to you, Randy, or you think it should
I understand the logic. I was just thinking that it would be a more cohesive design if we could continue the window pattern, the roof form through. But I'm going to leave it up to the applicant to determine whether that's a physical possibility for him. Otherwise, I'm fine with it.
John Schaefer? John?
Yeah, just following up on Randy's comments. I understand the differential heights, but this also goes below even the top of the car wash, whether it be even make it a little more cohesive to raise the roof of the new addition, so that at least the peak set in at the level of the top of the old car wash. It would still be below the end of the existing building, so I don't think it would cause problems with dealing with the overhang, but it might. So because here you have now 3 different heights of roofs, and it might bring it to 2 and make it look a little bit better.
Yeah, so this is for the applicant. How much would it add to your cost? And I think in the long run, when you look at the value for this property, if it isn't too much more expensive, that may not be such a bad idea.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I've let Dave do all the planning on this and everything else, and I've just put my faith and let him use his expertise as far as this goes. I'm just relying on on Dave as far as what he knows. I'm certainly no expert on building, so.
No.
I know liquor stores. I don't know building.
So is Dave here?
Yes, I was
Dave's
the
right
one
here.
talking earlier. Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to, well, the floor is yours if you want to say anything.
Well, again, one of the things that we, I guess, one of the things in my background, we've always been the less additional load we can introduce on existing structures, the better. And we were trying to minimize the roof we were adding to the existing car wash building. And yeah, I mean, we could add, we've actually got plans started or whatever on this. Not that that's obviously your concern. We were trying to get Bill in there as soon as we could. So we got plans started on it under this concept or whatever. So we'd have to redo those. So there'd be some cost there. The structure itself wouldn't be a huge difference, but I think there's quite a bit more labor.
Yeah.
And tying it all together if we matched up those roof lines and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think my comment back to Randy's is just, if there's a way you can somehow, I think that the addition is a good idea. I don't see any problems with it, but just somehow make the structure look a little more cohesively as one structure than as three structures kind of stapled together. And I guess that's my only comment, or the point of my comment. And
Thank you, Dan Ramsey and then Randy Bruce.
I, on the other hand, am fine with the 3 roof levels. I think that it gives the property a little bit of visual difference. We have kind of just on the street, we have kind of a monolithic building that's, several hundred feet long. I personally don't have an issue with the different roof heights. My question would be being able to make the windows kind of look cohesive with the existing building. That would be my thought.
Thank you, Dan. Randy?
Dave, is the window height dictated by the structure over the window? Is that why the windows are a little squatter than the others?
Yes, and I'd have to go back out and double check if we could achieve the same height as those existing windows without, again, getting up into that roof line of the existing liquor store. I think that's what's dictating it, if I remember correctly, and I don't think we were able to achieve that without, again, interfering with that existing end overhang on the liquor store.
Will the rest of the materials on the building be identical to the existing?
Yeah, well, we were going to match the brick wainscot below the windows. We were going to do either steel or vinyl above, but we could do brick or whatever, because I believe it's brick above there's a small strip of brick above the liquor store windows, I believe. So the front side, we're trying to match colors and everything like that. The back side, we were just going to do with like a steel panel, because that's just backs up to the alley and there's not much to see there or whatever.
Right.
But we could do the brick kind of like is on the liquor store, with the exception of the dormer above the entry doors and stuff there, which would match, that's vinyl on the existing liquor store. We could do vinyl there on that gable, and then brick all the way around up to that point to match the liquor store.
I think it will be probably in your best interest that, it should look set up a uniform rather than patchwork. I think in the long-term value of your property, that probably would be something to look into. So, the commissioners have really great suggestions, and I agree with Dan too. So it's, having a little bit of variety here, but I think having at least some uniformity, windows, bricks, others would really be helpful. So it's in your best interest. I mean, we are here you're getting a free advice here. So any other questions or comments? So do we want to approve as it is or approve with some modification or, yeah, Randy, go ahead.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay, do you,
I'll add some conditions.
okay,
I'd like to see, I'd suggest that on the front elevation that the brick on the addition be carried up
Okay.
to the soffit level.
Yep.
And then to match the vinyl siding of the gable on the existing building above that. I encourage the applicant to raise the roof line and match the window heights and the window dimensions of the existing, but that's not a requirement, it's an encouragement.
and then the engineering comments, there are some comments from, well, that will be part of it too, right?
Well, I would second the motion, and if Randy would accept
Okay.
also conditions on the engineering staff recommendations, that those be resolved as part of this.
Okay. Okay, further discussion now.
Are you also recommending that the design approval is also contingent on the window signage being brought into compliance?
That's great, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Mhm.
Yes, thank you, Abby.
Okay, if there are no more questions or comments.
Commissioner Slavish has his hand raised.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mike,
just
go ahead.
just a quick comment. I mean, I think Commissioner Ramsey had a good point about trying to replicate the windows on the addition, similar to the existing building. And I think the only way you're going to do that, to get a header above those, is you're going to have to raise the entire roof line. So I mean, I guess I'd suggest if you want to put the brick above the windows and to, you know, essentially mirror the windows on the addition with the original. I mean, I don't see how you get away with that without raising the entire roof line, because you're going to have room for a header above those windows, I believe. Is that right, Dave?
Yep. Yes, if you want
need a
brick up there, yes.
So I
I mean,
guess,
there'll be a header up there regardless, but it'd have to be,
yeah, and just looking at the elevation, it's a little hard to see, but if you raise the height of those windows, you're not going to have any room to put a header in there below the current proposed facial line in soffit. Randy, is that right? You see what I'm talking about?
I agree with you. I think ultimately you might end up having to, you might be able to still sneak on, you might be able to sneak the roof of the addition just under the existing roof line.
Yeah, you might be able to, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I just think the continuity between the two buildings, you know, would be something could be desirable and ultimately add to the value of the building ultimately.
Yeah, agreed.
John Schaefer,
Yeah, I guess I agree with all of this. I think the continuity of the look is more important than the height of the roof. And I agree with, you know, Commissioner Ramsey that it's kind of nice to have the variety in the roof, but at least the style of the front of the building, bringing the brick up, trying to do something with the windows, so at least it doesn't look like it's a completely different building. And I think that's in the spirit. I'm hearing most of you saying that too. And I just concur with that. I think that's a good suggestion.
so Dave, you think that you will be able to manage that?
well, I guess I don't know because we're matching the same width. And if we try to match the height to get the same depth of brick across both buildings and everything, I think we're going to be right back at even if we lower the pitch, at some point, we're going to be crossing that existing overhang, which, yeah, it can all be done. But again, we're tearing into that existing building and possibly creating some issues that way and adding costs. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I guess to clarify my comments, I'm not suggesting you need to match the height of the brick across there, but having brick across rised up on the addition around the top of the windows gives the appearance that the facade is a similar style of facade, even if the height of the windows don't necessarily.
okay, all right.
That was all my point.
Yeah, you have to look at the long-term value of your property. I think, okay. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Mhm.
May
Go
I
ahead.
just make sure that since we've had some discussion since the motion was made, can I just review the motion, please, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the motion is to, by Bruce, seconded by Schaefer, to approve the design contingent on carrying the brick on the front elevation up to the soffit level and matching the vinyl siding on the gable of the existing building, and to encourage the applicant to raise the roof line and match the window height and dimensions, comma, contingent on all new and existing, and then it's what was in the staff comments.
Yeah.
That the motion? Randy,
Is
is
that
that
okay?
I think we need to clarify whether we're asking them to match the windows, because since the motion was made, I think there was some further discussion on matching the window heights, and I'd like to get other commissioners' perspective on that first.
Okay, so let's hear from Mike Slavish, John, and then, so what do you say? So I think everybody would want it to look good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the preference would be to replicate and extend the windows kind of at the same height as the original building, but in my personal opinion, I'm not sure that's essential. I was just dovetailing off, Commissioner Ramsey's comments to look to replicate that, and I thought that made some sense.
So Dan, what do you say?
Well, my preference would be to replicate the windows, but we also have to take into extent, and I understand the construction issues with not having to go into that existing roof. So, I don't know if you're able to raise the roof. I think Randy said, are you able to raise the roof some, but still keep it a different height? There looks to me as though there's probably room to do that. And change the pitch a little bit and still get the windows to be pretty close to what they are now. So that would be, I'm not an architect like Randy is, so he could speak to this better, but it appears to me that there's enough room where you might be able to do that.
Okay, so Randy, how would you?
I would amend the motion to read that the windows be to match as reasonably close to the existing windows as possible.
Okay.
That will require the roof to be raised some, but it doesn't have to match into the existing roof, and the header height doesn't have to be the same, or the fascia height doesn't have to be the same.
Okay, is that okay with you, Mark, now?
whatever you want the motion to be? If I can make my own comment from a staff standpoint, I think at some point, if you have a building that doesn't quite resemble something else, then maybe it's good to have it look quite different, so that it's two different parts of the building, and you could have, in the future, there could be two different tenants here. But if you're trying to get something to look very similar and it doesn't, to me, that creates more of a jarring experience, personally speaking.
Okay, so, well, let's go.
I would point,
Sure, go ahead.
I would point you to the Old Sauk Road, the businesses in where Wild Birds Unlimited and Chipotle and all those are, where they have, individual spaces. If you, so it's just an observation I have. I struggled with this as well, with what to recommend, and ultimately, I thought I'd just lay out what the issues are, and ultimately decided it was, to recommend approval. But I also have a concern with the main entrance that's there today. They're planning to remove the doors potentially, and yet you have that gable over that. So it's obviously a building that's it wouldn't be designed this way from scratch. So what to do with it is why you guys get paid the big bucks.
Okay, so we will go with what Randy has proposed, try to match the older windows as much as possible, so that I know that strip is much larger on that Wild Birds Unlimited. This is a much smaller place. So, okay.
Well,
Is that good
I
with
guess I
John?
have to comment. I guess I have to comment because I seconded the motion.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
Randy
sure, go
wants to amend it. I'm not real
Yeah.
comfortable with the amendment because my sense is that I've come to appreciate the slight differences between the buildings. And to me, it's the aesthetic of the matching of the facades as opposed to the literalness of the matching of the windows and the heights. And so I think that was in the original motion, but if we suddenly make it part of the motion to demand that the windows be the same height, I'm not comfortable with it.
I don't think Randy did that though. Did you, Randy? That wasn't the
No.
intent of your motion?
No,
Could you tell me what your addition was?
I was just my motion was that the windows matched reasonably close to the existing windows in terms of
I can accept
size.
reasonably close since that's
Yeah.
a big term.
Is that okay with you, John?
That's okay.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of the motion as stated by Mark and John and Randy for the design review of retail addition to the Good Neighbor Liquor 311 Parliament Street, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So the motion passes unanimously. We are on to item number 3. Extraterritorial certified survey map for Carrington Properties LLC 4373 and 4387 Schwartz Road. So now I can see the purpose here is to make a storm water. Anyway, Mark, do you want to say something? It's important to us because it's close to the Erdman Park there, and it's it's right on Schwartz Road. So
Yep.
I'd like to know a little bit more about it. So
Yeah, this is in the town of Middleton. This is in the city's extraterritorial review area. So if you follow the western line of the golf course to the north, any areas within the town that are east of that line fall within our jurisdiction for plat review, or for review of CSM, any lot line adjustments or changes. In this case, it's pretty straightforward. There are 2 businesses operating there, and one is planning to sell some land to another business, which will require a shift in the lot line in order to make the property transaction. Our staff is supportive of the change, and our engineering staff has reviewed this, and they didn't actually have any engineering staff recommendations. So we're just recommending approval without any contingencies.
okay. All
So
right.
this will go from 2 properties to 3 properties in?
No, 2 to
No,
1.
it'll actually just go from 2 to 2. It's just making one of the lots larger.
Okay, it's shifting part of one lot to the other.
Yes, correct.
Oh,
And
okay.
the purpose is for stormwater management.
It's essentially adjusting the lot line.
Yep.
Yes.
We can all get behind stormwater management.
Yep. Okay, well, I make a motion to approve, so
Ramsey will second.
any questions or comments? They're simply moving the lot lines. So, okay, if there are no questions or comments, all those in favor of the extraterritorial certified survey map, Carrington Properties LLC 4373 and 4387 Schwartz Road, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? So motion passes. We are on to item number 4. This is the concept review for 2 additional buildings, Construction Management Solutions LLC, Stephen Krause, 2332 Pinehurst Drive. And if you would look at the submission to the Plan Commission, they did mark what they wanted here, so concept review. So I think I would like all submissions to mark it. So these guys did a great job. So, okay, so who want to take it? So these are-
Daphne prepared the staff comments, but I'm happy to jump in here. She is recommending feedback to the applicant on the concept submitted. So this isn't ready for design review at this point. We're just looking at the concept this evening. The engineering staff had some pretty substantial markup comments that were on the submittal in the packet. The applicant is proposing to add 2 new buildings on the lot. It's zoned industrial, and Daphne noted that the buildings as shown do follow all of the setbacks, and they fit under the 70% lot coverage allowed under industrial zoning. And I'll go ahead and flip over here to the concept so you can see it.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 proposed new buildings, and this is Pinehurst Drive, and this building here is existing.
Is this the property that used to be Windogs? The pet place was that, I think? I used to take my dog there.
Yeah,
Does anybody
I
know?
think
it is. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah, John, wow, you remember it.
I see, I got the brain here.
Yeah, well, I used to walk in that area, so I think, yeah, I know where that is. So, yeah, it actually, I know there are a lot of extensive engineering comments there, and that's good. So, you know, but I looked at these 2 buildings; they are pre-constructed, pre-engineered, and the question was about the wetlands. And the 2 buildings are 55 by 150 and 60 by 142, both about 8,500 feet or a little different. So, yeah, so, well, let's provide, please raise your hand if you want to provide some input to the applicant. I think it looks, it will be a good use there. I don't know who the tenants would be, but they probably do, so. Okay, Randy, go ahead.
My only comment was, I think there's some homes that are northwest of this, of the more northerly building, that will have a view kind of through to the backside. A lot of that, that must be a greenway or old fence line with a lot of trees on it. But in that particular spot, there isn't much there. And I was just hoping that when the final plan came in, that we could get some landscaping to help fill in some of the voids there.
So this will be, the homes will be Hidden Oaks?
It must be
Randy?
Hidden Oaks, yes. Mhm.
Okay, okay. Sven, do you want to, or somebody else from the applicant want to make any comments or any questions? Otherwise, John, you have your hand up too. So John, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess 2 things. One was just sort of a comment to Randy's and looking at the map on my other computer screen here, and it's still a fair distance from the homes, but I understand. I think the landscaping is important. There seems to be some canal, or there's some space in there. I'm a little more concerned just about the parking, that I don't, there's a lot of parking there. It all seems kind of jammed in, and I'm wondering how comfortable it's going to be having people driving their cars, and I can't really see the scale to tell what the size of a car is, but there's going to be a lot of backing up and bumping into walls and things. And I don't know a solution or anything. It just seems that somehow that's a tight parking lot back there.
I can speak to both of those if you like.
Sure.
This is Sven Krause. In regards to the landscaping on the north wall or north side there, yeah, we can add some, eventually tall pines and things that'll grow into something, substantial to provide some coverage there. Obviously that is area right now. That area is not shown yet, but that would obviously be where our stormwater management and detention ponds and things are planned for. So we would have to hug those for a bit, or hug the edge of that. That's sort of right now earmarked for that use. And then related to the parking, we have done, Veerbeker's done some fire truck scale modeling of it, in the sense of being able to do a full turnaround. The idea would be to extend the driveway so that essentially all the parking spaces you see would merge into the existing entrances, which would circle the existing building. And so that would be a full turnaround. We've scaled. It isn't big enough for semi trucks or anything like that, but nor is that really the intent. It is meant for smaller tenants that are
either for storage, modeling a little bit of what AutoVault is doing in that sense, or for small handyman type of tenants where they're needing, maybe a truck and some equipment and things.
Well, thank you for that, because what I didn't really see and realize is that you do loop around that whole existing building.
Correct,
It's not
correct,
real clear on the drawing, but so you essentially have a circle, a donut.
correct. Yep,
That
exactly.
Really
So-
alleviates some of that. And I also noticed your westernmost building really actually backs up to a big, large warehouse building that's already there now.
Correct. Yes, that is the old BIC. I don't know if BIC's still in there, but yes, that is the BIC building that is 12, 15 times the size.
Well, thank you for clarifying. That helps.
So Sven, who do you expect the occupants to be? You have already lined up, or you must have some people in mind?
Mayor Barr, we do not yet. It's still open. If you go down to the if you scroll down, maybe page 22, I think it is. The one building, the spaces range between 1,300 and 18,000 square feet. So this is this is meant for, again, smaller tenants, service-based style for whether it's tenants such as like Middleton Glass, and so on and so forth, that used to be in the business park. And then there's bigger spaces too for people that might need more. So it is a flex. It is a mix of storage. It's a mix of whether it's folks wanting to store cars, again, modeling AutoVault, or whether it's people wanting to, I don't want to say operate businesses from a traffic perspective of being storefront or retail. That's not obviously what it's intended to be, but we have plenty of service businesses that want to be in the Middleton area.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Sven or any other comments? I think it looks pretty good. They have done a good job. There's a need for it, so that's why they are doing it. And question was, did you look at the wetlands? It's away from the wetland area, I suppose, right, Sven?
Yeah, so we reviewed it, and there are no mapped wetlands present, and we obviously filled out a erosion control and a fill permit that was approved prior to any earth being moved and any fill dirt being brought in. So that's been approved, or that was reviewed and approved by City of Middleton.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So Abby, do we need any motion here, or is it mainly the input?
I think this was just mainly for input, and then the applicant can take it back and include it in their design review submittal, and that would be on a future agenda.
Okay. And any of the commissioners want to provide any further input, or Sven, do you have any particular questions that you want to ask the commissioners?
No, I guess just want to make sure it fits in line with, I think there's a need for it, or we've identified a need, and think there's similar buildings in the area that are considerably larger that are sitting empty. And I think that these smaller spaces are more likely to be filled and bring in tax base and interest into City of Middleton. That's the intention. So any feedback around that is appreciated.
Yeah, the folks may be moving from the sampler square, so that's a good idea. John, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to concur with the mayor. I think it's fundamentally a good idea. And I really like the flexible small spaces, because I know often I'm running into people who would love to have the opportunity to have a little small compartment of something to run a business, do something. So I think it's a good idea. Thank you for doing it, and I hope to keep going forward on it.
Thank you.
Okay, great job, Sven. And if you have any questions, let us know. So thank you for bringing it. Great job. Okay, move on to the item number 5, the project updates.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to stop share on that, and I'm just going to pull up a PowerPoint quickly. All right, so we noticed that we had a light agenda this evening, and so we thought it might be a good opportunity for our staff to just give some quick updates. This will just be like 15 minutes on both the status of a couple of construction projects, as well as just a few of the projects that our department is leading right now for the city. So I've included an image here that was taken during the University Avenue corridor kickoff meeting, just to introduce our plan commission to the two wonderful interns that we have working for us this summer. We have Sophia Johansson, who is our sustainability intern on the left, and then Scott Heacock, who is our planning intern on the top right, and he's getting ready to enter the Urbanism program and is actually going to have Commissioner Paulson as a professor. So these two have really been helping us out a lot, and I want to give them props. They're going to be with us yet for a few more weeks, and we're getting good work out of them. I tried to tie this project update to a few of the goals that we have in the recently approved comprehensive plan, and show some examples of how we're moving forward with the goals that the city approved in that planning effort. So I've included a reference here, so you can see that this is the goal within the land use section of the comprehensive plan. And it was to create and adopt a University Avenue corridor plan to encourage increased densities, cross-access and parking easements, and to bring the corridor to a more walkable scale. And our associate planner, Daphne Shu, is leading that effort. It is underway now, along with our consultants from SRF. And I mentioned we had the kickoff meeting and we had a walking tour. And the next step is we're going to be doing some enhanced public engagement. And that's actually going to start next week through a series of survey questions. Our consultants are also going to have a presence at the Good Neighbor Festival this year. So if you're walking around at the festival, you can see that they're going to be collecting public input and trying to get some input from residents that don't normally come to city meetings, but happen to be out and enjoying the festival. So if you want to learn more about the University Avenue plan, we have it on our city website. We've developed a link. So it's just the city website /University Ave plan. And of course, if you have any specific questions, you can always ask Daphne or any of our staff, and we can help you out with that. Within the housing section of the comp plan, we had a goal to continue to use TIF to support development of affordable and income restricted housing. And here is a really good example of that is well underway right now. And it's the Trotta, which is the redevelopment of the old colonial motel site on Parmenter Street. This site was vacant for more than 15 years, and it's really a key site on an important corridor for the city. And the Workforce Housing Committee, in conjunction with the Finance Committee and Council, reviewed this TIF proposal for the project. The total number of units within the Trotta is 125. And under agreement with the city through the TIF incentive, 50 units are workforce housing units affordable at 60% of area median income. And just as a reminder, the incentive that the city provided for workforce housing for this project was $2.5 million. The total TIF incentive included demolition and then also some soil remediation work. And so the total incentive was $3.2 million. The total investment for this project is $25 million. So it's really a major project. And for folks who like looking at the split in terms of TIF, what percentage goes to the project and to help with the infrastructure needs within the project, that is 75%. The other 25% is coming back to the general benefit of TIF District 5. And TIF 5, we've said for many, many years, TIF 5 is going to be slower to start because it's a redevelopment TIF district. It's not developing lands that are green. So there's the amount of increment available in a redevelopment TIF is going to be lower naturally, but TIF 5 is really, really starting to take off. So we have the Middleton Market project that's under construction, Trotta, Cardinal View, and then Jacob Klein's getting going and getting ready to break ground, hopefully on his 3810 development within Tribeca. So we're really seeing a lot of activity within TIF District 5. And actually on the next Plan Commission agenda, we're going to be holding a public hearing on the TIF 5 amendment. So the first amendment to TIF District 5, we brought a couple concepts to the Plan Commission previously. We have now set the joint review board meeting for August 20th and the public hearing, and we've sent out all the official notices. So you'll get a full presentation at your next Plan Commission meeting on the TIF amendment that we're working on. Also within the housing section, we have a goal to embrace transit-oriented development, especially along major roads connecting activity centers like University Avenue, and Kestrel Apartments, which is nearly completed, maybe completed, is a great example of transit-oriented development. It is proximate to jobs and services, walkable to a grocery store, and it's also on University Avenue, which is the area that the city is really targeting for future bus rapid transit improvements. We're trying to work with Madison Metro to get BRT extended into Middleton. And this type of development will help make our case because it's showing that we have future riders. And as we develop more jobs along the corridor, that will really help make the case to Madison that this would be a good investment for an efficient transportation system. So the Kestrel is kind of the first big redevelopment project along University. We also have the prime urban properties, the Krupp development, the redevelopment of the Micosina site, which we hope will also be breaking ground soon. And that will be good because we have a lot of, we're starting to see a lot of vacancies along the corridor. So it's really important that we continue to reinvest in University Avenue. It's really a key corridor. Under the economy section of the comprehensive plan, we had a goal to work with Middleton businesses, economic partners, and the school district to attract technology jobs. I know that this is one of Mayor Brar's key focuses, and this is a great example of that. This is the new I3 product development lot lab located just north of Capitol Ice Arena. They actually share a driveway with Capitol Ice on Pleasant View Road. And I3 Product Development is headquartered in Sun Prairie. They do product design, engineering, software development, and prototyping for a number of very large companies. They're a really interesting business. You can look at their website and learn more, but just a few of their major customers are John Deere, Sub-Zero, and Black & Decker. So it's really neat to have them locating in Middleton. Earlier today, our staff got to tour the new aviary development, the Middleton Market project on Lisa Lane. And that development meets a number of the goals within the comprehensive plan, but the one that I chose to highlight here is we talked about in the economic development section, promoting strong green building and sustainability standards, and encouraging developers to implement the most recent innovations in building design, renewable energy, et cetera. The aviary project, from the beginning, the developer has really envisioned this as a model for green building and really wanting to highlight some sustainable features. One of the innovative things that's been done in this project is they're capturing all of the rainwater from the roofs and the all of the hard surfaced areas, which are being held in a stormwater detention pond, but they have a piping system that uses this water to irrigate all of the lands and all of the landscaping around the site. They have other sustainability features. One of them is they have electric vehicle charging stations outfitted within their parking garage. And I know that our sustainability coordinator, Kelly Hilliard, is really interested in using the zoning code rewrite as an opportunity to set a standard for that for all projects going forward. We know that we need to make it easier for residents to embrace and adopt these technologies. And so residential units should have these. They should be ready to go and outfitted with EV stations. This shows the interior of one of the lofted units at the aviary. So this is a 2-bedroom unit, and Daphne is shown here for scale just to show the size of the kitchen that they've incorporated into this unit. It's very nice. It's a little bit, it's a different option for multifamily with the lofted units. This one has a bedroom and a bathroom and a large closet and a small office workspace on the 2nd story.
Abby, you got an excellent scale there.
Yes, she's a small person, but you can still tell that it's a large kitchen. And then this is the much awaited and anticipated interior space of the Middleton market itself. So this is where they will have the European style food hall with a pub in the back, a coffee shop in the front, and then several vendors in the center space that will be selling things like partially prepared food. So it's like an updated version of a mall food court. In terms of the units, the phase 1 building is the building which the market is within, and it has 136 units. They've leased 30 so far. About over 20 are actually moved in and occupied now. And then in the phase 2 building, which is shown here on the lower left, that has 127 units, and that will be opening in November. And then they anticipate that the market space will be opening in spring of 2022. Another goal within the comp plan, the governance and partnerships section talked about promoting solar installations on municipal buildings. And we have 3 projects that are getting constructed this week. So we are showing, we're adding solar on the EMS station. It's mostly installed. Solar on the Middleton Recycling Center on North Parmenter. So this is the smaller building at the Public Works site. The other building is entirely already covered with 500 kilowatts of solar. And this is a smaller building with a smaller rooftop array. And then we're also going to be adding solar to the Lakeview Park shelter, the rehab shelter, later this week. So kudos to Kelly Hilliard, our sustainability coordinator, for figuring out how to design and bid solar as a municipality, which is pretty tricky compared to how it's done in the private sector. But we have a really good model now and a really knowledgeable staff member that we can hopefully begin to replicate this on other city buildings, and it'll hopefully have less hiccups than this one did. And then this is the Middleton Center phase 3 development along Terrace Avenue. And what I'd like to highlight here is within the economic development section of the comp plan, we talked about using public art and other streetscaping amenities to enhance the visual appeal of the city. And the Plan Commission noted a concern with the design of this building, and it was that there were storefront windows located along the first level of the building, but there was actually a parking structure behind. And so there was a concern that as pedestrians are walking by, they're staring in a big window that's just a parked car. And also that as vehicles were parking, especially late in the evening, they could be shining their lights through, and that could affect the residential properties across the street. And so the Plan Commission recommended that the Public Arts Committee get involved with the developer. And what the committee ended up recommending was including historical images on the windows, and they wanted to focus specifically on buildings that still exist in the downtown. So as people are strolling around, they can see this, and then they can actually go and look at the Pet Milk building right around the corner on Elmwood Avenue. So I think that turned out really nice. We had a goal in the comprehensive plan to encourage tactical urbanism. So tactical urbanism is deliberate change with a short-term commitment, coming up with local ideas that are low risk and just trying them out. And one way that we've been accomplishing that goal is through trying out a temporary road closure on Hubbard Avenue on Thursday nights near the Stone Horse Green. This is an initiative of the Community Development Authority to close off the street and see how people like it and see how it works. So we've actually been putting a sandwich board sign out. Scott, our intern, has been dragging this sign out every Thursday night along with helping to block off the street with the barricades. And this talks about, you know, why is the street closed? This is an example of tactical urbanism, and let us know what you think. And so far, I don't think anybody has shared their thoughts via email, but we have had a lot of people share their thoughts in person at the events that we're having down there on Thursdays. And it's been overwhelmingly positive. The road closure has provided a lot of really fun opportunities for people to congregate in the street. We have a chalk artist coming out and doing artwork with the kids. We've had a kid as young as 5 tell us that they feel much safer playing in the space because the cars are off the road and they don't have to worry about the traffic. And we've been having music at the green, and we even have an arts table that's being sponsored by the Middleton Arts Committee. So it's been a fun collaboration between a couple of different committees. And if you haven't been down yet, there's another event this Thursday night from 6 to 8. The music is by Ken Lawnquist, and we'll have the arts and crafts and the library table as well. So that's all I had time for. I think we took enough pictures for double this number of updates, but I didn't want to keep you here all night. So that's all I have tonight.
Wow, excellent job, Abby. So things are going really good. So boy, that Castro looked really nice too, Mike. Great job there. So, okay, any questions or comments for Abby?
Thank you for those updates, Abby. We appreciate that because, you know, sometimes we talk about a project and then it's several months before anything happens with it. So I like this when you give these updates. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Any other questions or comments? I like the music series and street closed and kids doing all those chalk paintings. And I think that's all coming along really well. So, okay, if there are, other than saying great job, Abby, and then unless somebody has some stories to tell, we need a motion to adjourn.
Schaefer moves.
Bruce second.
Second.
All right, so any questions or comments? Otherwise, all those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you, great job, and we are
Wow.
adjourned.
Thanks.
Thank you, Abby.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Night.